Good morning. Today is Sunday, October 22nd, 2023. And this is the weekly Bitcoin price forecast. Basically, looking at where Bitcoin went in the past week and where it could potentially go. So, this has probably been one of the most exciting weeks of the past, I don't know how many weeks, probably the past couple months, actually. We're on the monthly chart right now. So, if we look at it, we're in October. People in crypto call October Uptober because historically it is a pretty good month. And it is proven to be so in this month. So we had a positive September, which is rare. And then we had we're having a pretty good October at this point. And actually, it's one of the best months of the year. So right now in October, we got about 8 or 9 more days left in the month. And we're up 11% so far. Let me see. What was this? This was June. June was a great month. That was also an 11% month. Uh, March was a 23% month, and then January was a 39% month. So this is right now. It's like the fourth best month of the year, and we have like about 2 months left in the year. So again, we're still very much so in this range. We haven't broken out of it just yet. So we see we're at this range went from about 26,000 all the way up to 36,000. So really about 31,000, well 25,000 down here, all the way up to about 32,000. Yeah, so I've been saying it for a while. We're not going to actually break out until we get past this $32,000 range. So I think we could face some resistance up here. Once we kind of, I mean, we're here now. Like we're kind of in this. Where are we at? We're at 30,000. So that's impressive. It's been an impressive week, and we'll kind of dial into that as we go down to the lower charts. But again, we got to break above 32,000 before we actually see some of this upside moving in. Once we do, it's going to be pretty quick. So we'll probably see one of these come back and then just go straight up. But we'll see. Again, this has been a long time coming. Okay, so again, weekly chart. We dropped down one. We've been in this range for all this time. Came down, shot up in June. This is on ETF news. And really, if we look at it, this has probably been one of the best weeks of the year. Again, I said it earlier. The majority of the movement in Bitcoin this year has come in a few couple key weeks. So you had the probably second week of January, you had the second week of March, you had the about third week of June, and this is now the third week of October. So yeah, if you look at it, like if you just let's cancel out all this, let's cancel out all this, and let's cancel out all this. If you add it up, move this over, that's the movement. That's the movement. So really, these 4 weeks have accounted for the majority of the movement in Bitcoin this year. I don't think that's going to be the case moving forward. You're going to start seeing more candles. Like if we go back a little bit, you'll start seeing these candles where it's consistently going up, and we're not going sideways anymore. So that's going to be good to see. Good to see. So I mean, we'll start seeing more 5% weeks, 10% weeks, 15% weeks. Even potentially 20 and 30% weeks. So that's good. Um, Let me see. We had a pretty. This was all September. So actually, matter of fact, it's been trending up. Even though it's been kind of sideways here, we've been trending up, and it seems that we're starting to build that steam. So, this candle right here, this big drop, that was when they announced that. I think it was the Evergrande news, and I think they said something about SpaceX's Bitcoin with Elon and all that, but that was a drop, and then we pretty much stayed stagnant for a month or so. But now, if you look at it, it's a swoop, big curve, and we're going back up. And now this is a very strong candle, and we'll look at it even more. So let's put the drawings on. Again, we're still very much so in this long-term support and resistance. If we look at it, I drew this yellow line, which is the parabola, big swooping parabola coming this way, and now we're at the edge of it. The parabola was a little bit tighter earlier in the. I was still talking about this parabola for weeks, if not months. I adjusted it a bit, a little bit wider than what it used to be, but that's fine. I think it fits a little bit more. At this point, we're at the edge of that parabola, looking at it, and now we come to the point where, matter of fact, if we look at it, really one of the major points that would, in my mind, that would stop us from going up is this right here. If we look at this one candle, if I could, nope, that's not what I want to do. If we look at this one candle, this is what could have stopped it. And I say could have because I think we've already broken that. So if I pull this over here, if you see, we actually pierced the top of that. And now we pulled back a little bit, but that's fine. Now the only thing that we have to break again is 32,000. And I don't see any major candles here that would stop us from getting up there. This is the major one. Like this is that major resistance that was the push off point from this. So if you look at it, we had been kind of clawing back that imbalance that was sitting right here. There's a big imbalance right here. There's a CME gap right here. There was a major imbalance. So I don't know if people know it, but one of the major news stories this week was the ETF. Now the ETF has not been approved, but there was a rumor. There was a rumor that was released by, I want to say it was a Cointelegraph. It was fake news pretty much. Fake news that the ETF had been approved. They had released it on Twitter and they had to claw that back within about 15 minutes. Release an apology statement because at that point, actually, let's find it. What day was it? This one. Yeah, it was the 16th. So let me take this off for a second. If you look at this big candle, so this was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So matter of fact, it was Monday morning that this happened. So going into Monday morning of this week, there was news that iShares, which is BlackRock's potential ETF, had been approved. And this is the thing that everyone has been waiting on since June. So we see it like this candle shot all the way up and it came right back down. So there was this huge wick that was left behind. But you see, it didn't really come back that far. Like, you would think that it might have retraced all the way back down here, but that was not the case at all. It just, kind of stayed really above the 50% mark of the candle. And then just kind of, stalled out for 2 days and then it just went on a tear. So this was Saturday, and usually you don't even see this much movement on Saturday. So we may very much so have a CME gap. I'll check that in a bit. So you had Thursday, Friday was a fantastic day for Bitcoin, and then Saturday, and now we're at Sunday, the beginning of Sunday, and we're still kind of in this parabola. We're above the 200-day moving average. I think it's still 200. That's a 100-day moving average. So let's see what it's 200. If I can do that. Okay. Yeah, so the 200-day moving average is sitting right here. It's still very much so flat, but we do see that it is starting to curve up at this point. So that's good news. Good news for sure. I said that there were only a couple places that we had to break. So again, we've broken this key area. This is not key. This is not key. None of this is key. This has already been broken. This has already been filled. Yeah, so this is the last key area, this major push-off point to the downside that we'll have to end up filling. But again, we came up, and let's say this is the line right here. And matter of fact, we retested it as well. If I put this line right here, we shot up past this imbalance point, we came back down, and we retested it, and now it looks like we could continue to go on to the upside. Like I said, there's nothing really stopping it from getting up there outside of the fact that this just is a key zone. So I suspect that we'll probably stay within 32K for another week or so, and then continue to move forward. You never really know in terms of the timing and whatnot, but now my projections are definitely saying, hey, we're going to go up. Because again, we do have this demand zone here. We have another demand zone here, so let's draw that. So I have a demand zone here. This is the daily chart. I have a daily demand zone here. I have another daily demand zone here. Let's do this. So I have, let's just change it to blue. That's fine. Nope, that's not what I want. I don't care about Grammarly right now. Change that to blue. Change this to blue as well. This is a demand zone again. So these are points where price could continue to rocket off. So, I mean, if you see a pullback, then it comes back down to here. I would expect it to continue that way. If I see a pullback all the way down to here, we could continue back up to the upside. I've been talking about these zones for a while, so think about it. We have a daily demand zone here. This is the $25,000 one that we were unable to break. So they tried for almost a month. Like this is 8/17 all the way until 9/12 roughly. So Bears had a month to get below this range and they were just unable to do it. They couldn't pull it off. and now we're headed back to the upside. Actually, we didn't really have any major daily demand zones here for a while, so this is the first major imbalance that we had. Again, this is coming off that fake news. This, I think we're, even though it didn't continue on to the upside, this is what this is telling me is that if fake news was enough to send price this much, when that real ETF news comes out and they actually approve it, it's going to be haywire. We're going to see candles that most people are not prepared for. Like, there's just a lot of information and data that I don't think is priced in just yet, but that's fine. Daily demand zone. So again, there were thoughts. Actually, it's a $25,000 one. There were a lot of people who were waiting for us to get back down to 20,000 or 21,000, whatever it may be. Unless there's a major credit event or some type of major global news economic event, I don't see that being realistic. I don't even see that being something that's worthwhile to consider. If it happens, it'll happen very quickly in the same way that if we go back. So let's go to the weekly chart again. We'll zoom out. It'll be one of these to where you just have a major flash crash. So, in late February, early March, this is when, again, the Silicon Valley Bank situation happened. You'll have a major flash crash like this. And then this is where Bitcoin's resilience starts to come in. You will see it start to rocket to the upside. So you could see that happen. At this point, since we're so far up, I think we may just come back down here and go up. I find it very hard to believe that we would drop. What is that? 30%? Yeah, I don't think we'll drop 30%. And then, that's a pretty steep drop. Even this one, how much was this one? So this was a 21% drop. So let's just theoretically say that we get a 21% drop. And I think that'll probably take it down to the daily demand zone, the first one. 17%, 19%. So yeah, that would take us to the bottom of the daily demand zone, but it wouldn't take us too much farther. Again, you never know, but that's just my prediction. I just see this one being out of play. So it wouldn't be crazy to delete that one, but we will leave it on there just for the sake of argument, right? Because again, you never know. These are only predictions, but you do the best you can to make the most accurate prediction that you can. So again, we have a low, higher low. I'm sorry, higher high. I guess it didn't quite break that, but you kind of broke the structure here. Low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So again, we are very much so in an uptrend pattern. So if I draw this line right here, parallel channel, three. Actually, I think we've broken this parallel channel. Actually, change that to green. This is an uptrend. So again, we 1, 2, 3, 4, boom, and then we broke this channel. So if we come back here, actually, I think that'd be pretty nice. You come back down here and pull this channel out. You do a retest of the channel. You do a retest of the oh my gosh, what's it called? The parabola. Yeah, you do a retest of the parabola, and you could get a potential retest of the zone. So I would not mind a good pullback here before continuing on to the upside. Like, that would be perfect. I think that would be the thing that would send you on to the upside very easily. So let's take a look here. At this point, I mean, this week we kind of have two options. And finally, listen, I can finally actually make some type of prediction, and it's not like all here. I couldn't make anything. I can't. Anyone who tells you that they knew what was going to happen, in this range was there. No one knows. Because again, this was nonsense. There was no actual price action. This was just flat. And as you see, the moving average is flat. Finally, we're starting to curve up to the upside, but we had months of nonsense, about a month here of nonsense, and then it finally started to make waves. We're starting to make waves, up and down, up and down. So if I could say, we'd do something like this. No, I'm not even going to draw it. But basically, long story short, we come down, we go back up, and then, or we could come all the way back down here and go up, and this would, you'd have this moving average right here, so that would also act as a place of support, and then you could go back up to the upside. Or you could just continue on to the upside. So really three options. So you could come back down to this zone, shoot up. You could come back, deeper pullback down to this zone, shoot up. Or you could go just straight up. And if I draw the Fibonacci, what's the lowest that I think we could go? I draw the Fibonacci. Yeah, so this zone I think is about the lowest I think you'll end up seeing it, because you have the 50% zone right here. If we draw from top to bottom, you have the 0.618 zone right here, the 61.8% pullback, and then the deepest pullback that you could have is like the bottom here, for this, just based on this zone right here. But there ends up being a lot of traffic in the way. Again, you have the parabola, you have the first daily zone, you have the second daily zone, you have the 200-day moving average, you have the Fibonacci 50, 61.8, and 78.6 percent zones here. So it's going to be interesting. These are going to be an interesting series. I mean, look at that. That is just like it took off like a rocket ship. Like, it was very calm, very chill Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Even Sunday, it started taking off. This is Sunday at 11 a.m. And it just, again, I think people knew something beforehand. And I think this was a testament to that. It started moving on Sunday night. And I guess the market did open, but I mean, there may be some validity to this ETF thing. And this is a much longer one. We're at 16 minutes. Wow. Let's look at the ETF deadlines. So if we look at the ETF deadlines, so let's look at, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 ETFs at least. And I don't think that Franklin Templeton is on here. But if we look at it, the first deadline has passed. The second deadline for all of them has passed. The third deadline is coming up in mid-November. And then the rest of them, I don't know why ARK got in so quickly. I mean, they all kind of filed. Matter of fact, ARK filed later, which is weird. But you know what? They got this in first. They got their register in first, so that's why everyone else was late to the ball. So shout out to Kathy Wood and all them. But their first deadline, the first deadline is passed. Second deadline is passed. Third deadline is in November, and the rest of them are January. So the final deadline that they have is January 10th, and ARK shares is going to come up first. So I think if they approve one, they're probably going to end up approving multiple, if not all of them at the same time. Yeah. So, I mean, I think at latest, at the very latest, you will see March 19th being the latest date that we could see it approved. It could be January 10th. And again, we're assuming that the SEC actually does right and approves these things once and for all. Like, there's no reason for them to keep stalling it out. They've taken major losses in court. Matter of fact, in this week, we've seen all types of different losses that they've taken. So, like, the SEC, they withdrew their lawsuit against the CEO of Ripple, which is huge. Ripple saw a big push off of that. You're seeing a lot of cryptocurrencies start to elevate at this point. I think this is the moment that we've been waiting for months. I've been waiting for, at least. I don't know about y'all, but that I've been waiting for months and months. I think we're finally at the liftoff stage. 2024 is going to be a fantastic year. I have no doubt in my mind. And even going into the end of the year, we're approaching the halving. Matter of fact, I didn't even talk about that. The halving is right here. This big blue line. Big blue line that, somewhere in April, we'll see the halving. Again, it's whenever that you get 210,000 blocks mined since the last halving. So it'll be a minute. Probably you got 4 months. And let's just assume that we follow this trajectory, right? That puts you somewhere around 55,000 before April. I mean, we're at 30,000. That's 20,000. So if you own a whole Bitcoin at this point, you could be up 20K in the next 6 months. We have 6 months until the halving. I think it's going to be a fantastic ride. It's not going to be like this. Again, I've said it before. Parabolas move in two ways. So they start off, like, if you're coming from this side, they start off coming down very fast, and then they come down fast. They come down fast, and then it just kind of ranges here. Like we have this model pretty much, and now we've gotten past the slow part, and now we're starting to trend up. We're starting to trend up, and then now we're getting to the point where things start to get very fast. It gets fast again, and so you'll start to see a whole bunch of this and a whole bunch of this. So, that's all I have for this week. Again, I'm starting to get excited at this point, if you cannot tell. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have too much else. So Thank you guys for listening. This has been Chris Talks Crypto. Check out christalkscrypto.com for any crypto based resources. And again, I will see you guys on the moon. Shouldn't be too much longer, y'all. Take care.